One, two, three. All right. Hi, my name is Manny Manzanet. I am 19 years old. I'm fresh out of high school, and I make YouTube videos on my YouTube channel where I've posted a catalog of very niche videos with the ultimate goal of turning it into a profession. To any outside viewers that aren't my immediate friends and family, welcome. I'm making this video so that people can understand what this channel is supposed to be. So here is the entire story of SuperSamuraiM. I created this channel on May 17th, 2017 and uploaded my first video on that same day. It was a video titled SuperSamuraiM Intro. It was a crappy little intro with visuals ripped right from Star Wars, and at 13 years old I thought it was the coolest intro ever made in the history of forever. I made it on a dumb online video editing software called WeVideo, as evident with the stupid watermarks all over the intro. Now, the name. Where does it come from? I actually came up with the name SuperSamuraiM when I was 9 or 10 years old, and Power Ranger Samurai was my favorite thing ever at the time, and still probably is. I needed an Xbox username, and that's what came of it. More on my name later. I still had the idea of a YouTube channel way before I entered middle school. I already had a name for it. I just needed to come up with content to produce. As a 10/11-year-old kid with little access to an actual account for an online service, I couldn't really share anything I made, so I just settled for making videos on my dad's iPad to entertain myself. And eventually the sharing of my work would come later. As for the content I made, I did what any 10-year-old with no original thoughts would do and copy what all my favorite YouTubers were doing at the time, and add my own little boy twist to it. Little did I know this would carry over to when I actually made my YouTube channel. Once I found a decent enough camcorder my dad never used anymore, I wasted no time in making my first video. No, seriously, literally the day I found it, I made my first video. I grabbed my younger brother Mateo and made my first video, which was an action short called Nerf Slayer, Son of Two Swords. That's right, I was a Nerf kid. I was just so incredibly inspired by Cox97's Nerf Arena series that I literally wrote my own take on the story and wanted to go further with that concept. Turns out the execution was less than stellar. I had such a big plan for the series, and I just started to make it public and wanted it to take me places, and it just never got there. I wasn't just planning on making action videos. No siree, this 14-year-old had opinions. So I created what I thought would be a mainstay on my channel, an opinionated talk series called Top 5 Fridays. I made 11 of these babies, and I thought it would become an important anchor to the channel, but of course, that didn't end up being the case. As we move forward with this channel's history, you'll see that a common theme is the lack of consistency. I continued to make and post vlogs, attempted at making comedic short films, and just posting a lot of derivative silliness. I then started a trend of hitting peaks and valleys in terms of producing content. Like, one month I'll be super motivated to make and post a video and really step it up a notch in terms of content, when in reality I was just making the same garbage, I was just getting older. Then the next month, I'll be so preoccupied and unmotivated and just throw just a single half-assed video. And that's kinda how it went for a good chunk of the bridge from middle school to high school, and good God, I never want to cross that bridge ever again. I made some more garbage, reviewed some movies that came out that year, talked shit about Avatar, and made a hot sauce video. The new year rolled around, and I now had the ability to do something I've always wanted to do, and that was to start a gaming channel. But I knew that I needed to add some spice. So I decided to share the channel with my cousin Alex. That channel is a story all its own, and it's unknown of what the fate of that channel will be, but I really hope we can keep it alive because we made some really good content on it. 2019 was over, and I was incredibly excited to see how 2020 would treat me and my channel, and I think we all know how that went. I did not take the lockdown well. I couldn't make the things I was planning on creating that year, and this was my most important year of high school. 2020 was such a disaster and really screwed me up long term because that was the year I was supposed to have everything figured out. What I was going to do when I got to college, how the content would change, how the whole California dream was even going to work. All of that was put on hold just so I could be mentally stable. I might be digging too deep into how this year affected me, but just know that it was just a complete disaster for my personal growth, and there's no coming back from that. Anyways, despite the dumpster fire that was the 2020 year, I managed to produce some content during the holiday breaks, which is when I make most of my content anyway. You of course have the Great Breakfast Trilogy, the masterpieces I submitted for A-Push projects, more vlogs, and another hot sauce video. I was starting to become semi-consistent with my content production again. But as I said, this was a peak before the valley would roll up again. My senior year of high school was fast approaching, and since all the prep I would have done during my junior year was basically halted, I needed to dedicate more of my time to school, not to mention all the auxiliary things I was doing for my school at the time. This is when the content came to a grinding halt. I made another A-Push skit and did some more videos with my girlfriend Katie, who has always been keeping me motivated, but soon enough I started to go months without content, mainly because I was creating things that were taking up more of my time, and I also wanted to start making actual quality content that I was proud of and not just content spewed out like nothing. You know, much like how YouTube's algorithm wants you to make your content nowadays. Unfortunately, that's how we lead into where we are now. I simply just don't want to and actually cannot adhere to YouTube's insane ideology of producing content on a weekly basis just to stay relevant. I know that there's probably ways around that, but I still want to look back and be able to watch my content with confidence. When I look back at my older videos, the ones where I just made whatever simply because it was a hobby, I can't enjoy it the same way I did at the time. That's definitely a part of growing up, but I still want to be comfortable with watching myself. Back then I was confident enough to turn on the camera, but not confident enough to hold and carry an entire video's worth of speaking about a particular subject. And you know what? That's okay. I knew that even back then I was going to be hypercritical of my content, and it's just a part of the creative learning experience that I believe any artist can probably relate to. When you yourself can notice your weaknesses, that's where the learning process begins. So the big question I'm facing now is, where does this channel go from here? I don't want to outright erase entire portions of this channel because despite how I may feel about my older videos, it is what sparked the growth of this channel, and I wanted to keep that alive. However, I do think a rebrand is necessary, and I think a good place to start would be with the literal name of my channel. It's kind of hard to take anything I make seriously when your channel name is the one you came up with when you were 9 years old. Also, seeing as how I don't plan on making any more Power Rangers content in the future, I think the PR community will be just fine with the name change. But don't get it twisted, I still love Power Rangers, and while I would love to share my thoughts on how I think the new reboot is going to turn out, and Dino Fury and all that good stuff, it's just not how I view this channel progressing as I move along. So what kind of content should I be making? I still really like the idea of this channel being kind of like a journal of my life. I'll still make vlogs with Katie, I'm still going to be uploading my latest film projects, and I'd be more than happy to keep torturing myself with scorching hot food challenges for you. But in all seriousness, thank you for sticking with me throughout all these years, at least all since this channel has been around. And thank you for coming back to see this pretty honest and really thorough update video. I feel like this was necessary, especially for the new viewers of my channel who are just discovering me for the first time, so there wouldn't be any surprises as they went through my catalog of videos. But if you have been subscribed to this channel for a while, thank you. And please consider donating to the Patreon. I'm working on making it simpler so that, you know, people will actually want to donate. Hopefully one day this new direction I take will pay off and I'll start to gain something from this platform. We'll see. But for now, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.